when I was 12 years old, I had the same symptoms Cyrus had. I was thirsty all the time, going to the bathroom all the time.
What's with the thirst thing? What is that about?
Yeah. So when your glucose level goes really high, then the concentration of glucose inside of your blood increases. Your brain basically says, oh, wait a minute, let's drink more water so that we can flush that glucose out. So it's a way that you will take on more fluid to decrease the concentration of glucose and then eventually pee it out. So it's a way of just basically getting rid of glucose.
Right. All right. Keep going.
So I was quite familiar with these symptoms because my older brother was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 9 years prior. So I said to my mom, I think I have type 1 diabetes. She said, no, don't be silly. You don't have type 1 diabetes. So she leaves town for a weekend to go check out some places with my dad in Florida because we were going to move to Florida. We're living in St. Cloud, Minnesota. So my mom calls to check in and she says, how are things going? I said, Mom, I couldn't sleep last night. I was cramping. She said, okay, go upstairs, test your blood glucose and let's see what's going on. So I test myself on my brother's meter. I'm over 400. So 4 times higher than I'm supposed to be. And my brother says right then and there, yep, you have type 1 diabetes, pack your bag, you're going to be in the hospital for a few nights. So we go to the regular doctor, they make the diagnosis. I see my brother cry for the first time. He's like, oh, I'm just so sorry you have to deal with this. And my parents fly back the next night. And my dad just said in the hospital, it's an inconvenience. Don't worry about it. You're still going to get to do whatever you want in life. And that was sort of the way I was brought up. I had standard medical care. I went to the Mayo Clinic, had an endocrinologist, a psychologist, a dietitian. And looking back, it's really a missed opportunity, I think, to really turn somebody onto a better state of health. Whereas at that point, all they were saying is just eat normal, follow the standard American diet, just make sure you get every single food group. We want you to feel normal. You're a teenager. Don't let this, make you feel weird. That was the focus.
And you're at the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah, exactly. You would think, the best care. You think they could do a little better, but that's what happened. So life with type 1 begins. I was a competitive tennis player, a type A personality, and I took pretty good care of it. I was on top of it. I'd count my carbohydrates. I'd dose my insulin properly. I'd fill out the logbook very diligently to figure out what to do. Sort of that guidance that you had suggested that, hey, that they probably would give, right? So the Mayo Clinic did give that guidance. And I had, pretty good control, but I had lots of other just unfortunate symptoms like chronic allergies. I would take Nasonex and Claritin D and still get sick all the time. I had plantar fasciitis, which was very frustrating as a tennis player. I wore these big blue boots at night to try and do passive stretching. I had warts on my feet. And in high school, I developed cystic acne. It was really frustrating. I did all the treatments, the creams, the pills, the laser treatments, microdermabrasion. Eventually, they put me on Accutane. It's like the most serious drug you can possibly take when you have acne. So your parents, they have to sign a waiver because some people have committed suicide on that drug. So I had these frustrating symptoms, but I was starting to get into learning about how can I take better care of myself just through some of my dad selling supplements. And it kind of resonated with me. I just kept on learning a little more. Hey, try and avoid the MSG, trying to avoid the additives. It kind of made sense.
What was your dad slinging?
He was his Herbalife at first. He's been through many different ones. USANA eventually. A lot of different network marketing.
Okay.
It was pretty funny. So in high school, I'm living in Florida at this point, and I stumbled across a book called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. Okay, this is by Kevin Trudeau. We are not recommending this book. This guy got put in jail for fraud.
Do you remember seeing those commercials?
I don't. No.
Yeah, it's like a purple book.
Kevin
It's got his
Trudeau.
big smiling face on the front. It was crazy.
What was his pitch?
So this book planted a seed in my mind that it would be possible to reverse type 1 diabetes. And that changed the course of my life. And I said, okay, I'm going to do anything and everything to get my beta cells to work again. That was the mindset.
What was his protocol to do that?
Honestly, it was like one sentence. It was one sentence in the book that planted the seed. Okay, wait a minute. It wasn't a particular protocol.
Right. He didn't actually tell you how to do it.
No.
Okay.
I mean, there was all kinds of crazy things like colonics and supplements.
But it was
and
just the idea that could be possible.
Yes, that was transformative.
Kind of like opened a door for you.
Yes, right. Absolutely. And my mindset was, hey, people told Roger Bannister, you can't run a 4-minute mile. The smartest people in the world said that's not possible. And then he did it, and now other people can run 4-minute miles. So somebody's got to do it first. So I'm like, I will do anything and everything. So this leads me to try the Western A. Price Foundation, which is a diet where you're eating lots of grass-fed beef, you're having raw milk. I would go to the local farmer's market and buy milk for a cat, because you couldn't sell raw milk to a human. So I was willing to do anything. It was crazy stuff. And learning the information, like each step along the path, like it made sense. It's like, okay, that's interesting. I'll try this. I'll try that. Grass-fed beef, yeah, probably better than the beef from the factory farms and stuff like that. So I did the Weston A. Price Foundation diet. I didn't see any big difference in my diabetes health. So I continue to learn. Eventually, I come across a plant-based ketogenic diet. So this guy, Gabriel Cousins, had a movie called Raw for 30 Days. And this is a diet where you eat lots of greens, lots of vegetables, but you're getting your calories from nuts and seeds and oil. So I started trying that. And of course, now I'm removing carbohydrates from my diet. My total insulin use is coming down. And I'm saying, wow, this is working. That's my goal. I want to take less and less insulin. But in hindsight, that only makes sense if you know the beta cells in your pancreas are simultaneously starting to make their own insulin. But that clearly wasn't the case in hindsight. So I'm following that diet. And I'm at the University of Florida this time. I'm a freshman and I'm on campus and I black out several times. It's just really scary, that moment. Like you just kind of need to pause and be like, wait a minute, what's going on? I need to like regroup, get home, rest.
Hypoglycemic.
I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, yeah, it probably was a little bit, but I think I was just low energy. So I go back to my naturopath and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what can we do? And she's like, okay, you know what? Maybe you should do some chelation therapy. Maybe that'll help you get rid of some heavy metals and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll drive from Gainesville. I'll go all the way to Tampa and I'll try this therapy. I'll do any modality. I'll do anything. I mean, I flew to San Jose, California, and met with a Chinese medicine man. He made me this herbal tea. I was drinking that in college. It smelled so bad that I would brew it outside on the sidewalk with like a portable.
I'm not a stranger to that kind
of. And I mean,
been there, done that.
The guy had worked magic for my father, and some injuries he had, like put some like peanut butter stuff on his arm, and like it was crazy. But I didn't really see again any specific results with my diabetes health. So I'm considering all my options, trying all this stuff. But before I commit to the chelation therapy, I hear Doug Graham on a podcast. And this is in September of 2006. And he's talking about, this fruit-based diet also being able to help you get rid of heavy metals and cleanse your body. Like this is a healthy thing to do. I'm like, you know what? I'm missing fruit. I would love to eat some fruit again. And I don't want to do this expensive chelation therapy. Let me try this. So I started dabbling a little bit. The book finally comes out in December of 2006. I read it straight through, and Cyrus is one of the testimonials in the back. I'm like, wow, this is interesting.
The 80-10-10.
Yes, he's one of the testimonials in there. So I start Googling a little more about Cyrus. I find some pictures of him online.
You were talking to me earlier.
He's like looking fit. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is encouraging. I'm going to try this. So I started working with Doug Graham. I email him every single day for 90 days straight. He emails me back every day for 90 days straight. And I learned how to do this fruit-based living. And this is, again, around Christmas time. I remember going down to eat Christmas dinner. I have a pyramid of bananas, like 5 on the bottom, then 4, then 3. My family just looking and laughing. Like, this is going to be another phase. They'd seen me go through so many things. And now we're 13 years later. Yeah. It's not a phase.
I mean, if you follow Robbie on Instagram, I'm like, wow. Like, that is so, like, this is, like, first of all, like the amount of attention and like diligence that you put into like preparing all of this, you create like these sort of performance art installations out of the food that you but it's like all raw fruit.
It's fun. Yeah. And it looks like a lot of food, but I always tell people it's a lot of water and it's a lot of fiber. So it's a little deceptive in like the volume.
Yeah.
So I start doing this diet, and just like Cyrus, you would expect you need to use way more insulin. Your blood glucose should be way more difficult to control, and that's not what happened. My insulin sensitivity improved by over 600%. So you can calculate that by taking a 24-hour insulin sensitivity ratio. You take your total carbohydrate consumption, divide that by your total insulin use, and you get a ratio there. So when I was doing the plant-based ketogenic diet, it was 3-to-1, 30 grams of carbohydrate per day, 1 unit of insulin. Now it's well over
30 grams of carbohydrate per day.
1 unit of insulin. No, sorry. 10 units of insulin. Sorry, 10 units of insulin, which gets you to a 3-to-1 ratio. That's what I was using. 10 units of insulin. Sorry.
Okay.
So then now the ratio is 22-to-1. I'm eating over 750 grams of carbohydrate per day and injecting roughly 27 units. So it's over 22-to-1. That's over 600% improvement in insulin sensitivity. And this just gets me really excited. So I'm in college. I decided to start looking up some research, looking into this. Neil Barnard's information's out there, Dr. McDougall's information. That leads me to the original studies. And just like Cyrus, I find this information has been out there for almost 100 years. That if you eat more carbohydrate-rich food and limit the fat consumption, you improve the function of insulin. Insulin resistance is caused by a high-fat diet. So it was really transformative. All my symptoms went away. Plantar fasciitis, gone. My skin starts to clear up. I'm not using any more medications, no more creams. I don't take any allergy medications. I don't get sick. No more warts on my feet. And I'm feeling energetic again. Really excited about life at this point. And I'm like, you know what? The why was really strong. Again, I'm doing all this stuff because I'm trying to get my beta cells to work again. So I'm like, okay, this is going to help my body rest and rejuvenate and heal the cells. Maybe my stem cells can make some new beta cells. I wish it was that simple. It's a little more complicated, but that was the mindset. So I was just really stoked about life. Okay, let's just keep doing this. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep optimizing the insulin sensitivity, eating really well, getting a nutrient-dense diet, and let's see if we can get the beta cells working again.